Coming up tonight on Seahawks Forever, I am going to blind react, as I have been doing this week, to I got a day to make up for. So 4 position groups to round out the Seahawks' top 50 players of all time. We're going to talk linebackers, specialists. I've been told there's some controversy there. Wide receivers, and then, of course, we'll finish with quarterbacks. Tomorrow, the full list is revealed in order, but for today, we're just going to take a look at those last 4 position groups. That's coming up next on Seahawks Forever.
Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
If you happen to watch the live show with Dana O'Gorman and I talking about the defense, but in particular also the possibility that maybe the Seahawks would acquire one of the big name stars that might be available in trade, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, weren't you wearing that same exact thing? Yeah, you're right. Just wrapped that up. Just finished talking to Dana, immediately recording this show so I can get caught up on this top 50. Before we do, a couple of pieces of business to take care of. Best way to support the show, I am a full-time content creator. Subscribe to the channel. That's the biggest way. Hit that like button, the thumbs up if you enjoy the content. And if you want to be notified anytime new content arrives, hit that bell button. But down below in the description, you'll find all the links that you need, either to donate directly, buy me a coffee or a beer. Get on over to Patreon. Check out the membership tiers over there for exclusive content. You can also become a paid member here on the channel. I will be producing a video tomorrow looking at Sam Darnold's production last year in the red zone in Minnesota. Every single one of his touchdowns and interceptions from the All-22. So that will be exclusive content, just for example. And then also look down below. You should just see it there on the channel underneath this picture that you're currently watching. But also the full link is in the description. The new online store where you can pick up yourself. Oh, look at that. The green screen is kind of making it look sort of weird. A couple of different versions of coffee cups. We got T-shirts, polos, hats. Already sold some things. Dave Esp, always a great supporter. Just picked up a couple of things yesterday. Thank you for that. So check that out if you would. But let's get into this, shall we? We're going to blind react now to the final 4 position groups in the Seahawks top 50 list to commemorate, of course, if you're wondering why they're doing this, their 50th anniversary as a franchise, of which I have been alive for all of those. And then some. Linebackers, specialists, and then we finish up with the wide receivers and quarterbacks, and then the full list in order released tomorrow. I'll react to that certainly as well. So we start with the linebackers, right? And there's some obvious ones that I know we're going to see on the list. These are in no particular order yet. Some of the criteria that they use, there were only 160 players in their history eligible for this list. And some of the criteria they use, you have to have started at least 45 games, or you don't have to meet all these criteria. Otherwise, there wouldn't even be 50 players, or have been voted to an AP All-Pro or NFL Pro Bowl team roster, or won the Seahawks Man of the Year or the Steve Largent Award, or currently leads a career major statistical category, or has been part of an iconic moment in Seahawks history. All right, linebackers. And this is where I'm just going to scroll down and see. Okay, I already have one that I think is a little bit odd, because I wasn't sure yesterday when we talked about the defensive linemen, the cutoff between defensive end and outside linebacker, because we've had many schemes here, some 3-4, some 4-3, some hybrid over the course of history with the Seahawks. I'm already noticing a snub or an omission. But here we're talking linebackers, inside linebackers and outside linebackers. Chad Brown, one of the best acquisitions during that era of Seahawks football as they were coming out of the 90s when they weren't very good. 2-time Pro Bowler here at the Seahawks, 3-time team captain. Just one of those rare big name acquisitions that actually is a really productive player. Led the team in tackle each of his first 3 seasons with Seattle, finished with 740 career tackles. Also had 48 sacks, 55 tackles for loss, and 3 fumble return touchdowns. It's tied for the most in franchise history with Bobby Wagner. Pretty cool. Chad Brown, very deserving. Would have been shocked if he wasn't on this list. Keith Butler. Now, younger fans aren't going to know who Keith Butler is. He's still coaching in the league now. I don't know if he's still in Pittsburgh or not. But he was the early days of the Seahawks franchise. He was the middle linebacker, and he had he looked like an old school middle linebacker. I think he had the big neck roll, the huge shoulder pads. He had like a Fu Manchu mustache. Had some throwback kind of like he could have played for the Steelers or Raiders back in those days. Played from 78 to 87, spent his entire 10-year career with the Seahawks, started 132 games, retired as the all-time leading tackler with 813, now ranks fourth on that list. Really played a vital role, as they point out here, in anchoring those early Chuck Knox defenses. Rufus Porter, what a fun player he was. 88 to 94. Started out as a special teams demon. Made a couple Pro Bowls as a special teamer, and then worked his way into the rotation as an edge player because he was so explosive off the edge. He was a Pro Bowler as a rookie for special teams. His role grew during his time with Seattle. Maybe I should just let their techs do the talking. Second year, he had 10.5 sacks and 49 tackles. Made the Pro Bowl as an outside linebacker. Played 5 more seasons in Seattle. Played 98 games in total, 37.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 388 tackles. Lofa Tatupu. Best draft pick Tim Ruskell ever made. Traded up to get him, which people were surprised about at the time in the second round because he was such an undersized guy. Started all 16 games as a rookie, though. Was an immediate impact for Mike Holmgren in 2005. But his career only lasted 5 years because I think because of that frame, because of that size, he just got beat up physically. 3 consecutive seasons as a full-time starter, recorded over 100 tackles each year, earned the Pro Bowl in all 3 years. In all those 3 years, he recorded 8 interceptions, had 1 pick six. I think it was against the Eagles on a Monday Night Football game. I think we had like 2 or 3 pick sixes that day. 27 passes defense, 6.5 sacks. He was a spark plug. He brought a spirit that just, plus he ran sideline to sideline. He was everywhere. But again, he was just undersized, and the physical toll caught up to him. Thus, just the 5-year career. Bobby Wagner, what can you say? As I said, there was no order given in these. I would expect Bobby to finish in the top 5 in this top 50 player list overall, right? 2012 to 21. Then he came back in 23. Where do I start? Setting a franchise rookie as a rookie, set a franchise record, 140 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, 11-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, member of the 2010 All-Decade team, still productive years after the Seahawks gave up on him twice and thought he just athletically couldn't keep up anymore. He's now in his second year in Washington, playing for old friend Dan Quinn over there, and still a productive player. One of the greatest athletes I've ever had the opportunity to meet and converse with, and just a guy who did it with class, and one of the all-time greats in Seahawks history. KJ Wright, now a 49er coach. Man, that's tough. 2011 to 2020. Was just so unusual when he was drafted. Another great success story for John Schneider, 5th-round pick. Really long and tall. That was unusual for that position back then. 4 consecutive seasons of at least 100 total tackles. Named a Pro Bowler in 2016 after a career-high 126 tackles. Steady Eddie. And the thing that stands out to me the most about KJ Wright, and I think in this modern NFL, because of his length, someone would have made him an edge player full-time, and he probably would have got 80 sacks. But his ability to read plays and diagnose them was never more evident than it was on screenplays. Like, he was so good at sniffing out and running down screens. One of the best to ever do it, I think. And then Fred Young, he had a really interesting career as a Seahawk. I talked the other day about telling some stories in the offseason. I think I'll do a whole episode on Fred Young. Again, similar to Rufus Porter, started out as a special teams demon, right? He was AFC Special Teams Player of the Year in 1984. Ranked second in franchise history with 2 blocked punts. But then he became a significant contributor as a linebacker. He had 9 sacks in 1987, despite only playing in 13 games. He got Defensive Player of the Year votes, and he was also nominated for the All-Pro team, but he made the Pro Bowl. And he was on such an upward trajectory that they were able to trade him to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks. That's insane. Third-year player with some modest success, like one good year. It's interesting to me he is on this list, and I'll go back to the other one. Whether you consider him a defensive end or an outside linebacker, depending on the scheme, Chris Clemons is not on this list. And that's surprising to me. Let's look up Seahawks all-time sack leaders. Helped us win a Super Bowl, really helped define those early Pete Carroll teams. It was a big acquisition for them. They traded Darryl Tapp to get him because he perfectly fit that Leo position that Pete Carroll was looking for. He's 8th all-time in sacks. Maybe he just didn't have a long enough career. I don't know. I'm surprised that Chris Clemons didn't make the list. Like, honestly, I might have put him, except he wasn't considered a linebacker. I think Fred Young's borderline, you guys. Like, he only played 3 years, basically, on that side of the ball and really only had the one big year. But he got his 2 first-round picks. Maybe for that reason alone, he ends up on the top 50 list. But Rick Meyer got us a first-round pick. Is he going to be on this list? I doubt it. All right, so now we're going to go to specialists. This is going to be fun because I heard there were some surprises on this list. Right off the bat, John Ryan, Michael Dixon named to the Seahawks top 50 players. Of course they are. John Ryan was one of the best in the league at, especially at pinning the ball inside the 20, really directional. And then Michael Dixon, of course, and all. Here's the thing about Michael Dixon that I find so odd. His rookie year, he was first team All-Pro, and he hasn't made it since. Even though when you look at his statistics, he has gotten better every single year in all the key metrics. How is he not getting back to All-Pro? That's weird. But yeah, first team All-Pro honors. Through the 2024 season, 48.2 yards per punt in his career, ranks 3rd in NFL history, and yet he's only made the one All-Pro team. Hasn't made an All-Pro in the last 6 years. That's insane. It's ridiculous. And he's 2nd behind John Ryan in punts downed inside the 20 with 212. Ryan spent 10 seasons here. He was just a great success story as well. A guy that I think he was released by the Packers and ended up putting together a great 10-year career. Just a great guy too. I mean, funny, engaging, great locker room guy. And then he has one of those most iconic plays ever, the fake field goal to Gary Gilliam, the pass that really sparked the comeback against Green Bay in that NFC Championship game that sure looked like they had lost. Hold on a second. Okay, that's the surprise. No kickers. 0 kickers named to the all-time top 50 list. Let's look at something here. Because I think this is a miss. If memory serves me, Norm Johnson was the leading scorer in NFL history for quite a long time. Let's see. Norm Johnson has 810 points. Played for the Seahawks for 8 years. 333 extra points made. 150 out of 228 field goals. Steven Hauschka might have been worthy of that list. It's just no respect for kickers, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like a kicker or two should have been on this list. No love for kickers. All right. Well, that one didn't take very long. Let's now we're going to go to today's releases, which are always fun. Wide receivers and quarterbacks. I wouldn't expect a lot of surprises here. I love these graphics they put together. Brings back a lot of memories. All right. Doug Baldwin, obviously. 2011 and 2018. 2-time Pro Bowler. Finished his career ranked 3rd in franchise history in receiving touchdowns with 49. 4th in catches. 4th in receiving yards. 14 touchdowns in 2015. Tied for the NFL lead for touchdowns scored that season. Also had 58 postseason receptions for 734 yards and 6 TDs, including one in the Super Bowl win. The thing that I remember the most about Doug Baldwin, everyone will talk about the releases, his release package, the way he got separation and got off the line of scrimmage. Unbelievable. Also, what he's doing now in the community is remarkable. There's one play that stands out for me. Pittsburgh Steelers game at home. I want to say 2017, 2018 might have been his final year. It was the last game that I ever took my dad to. He's just physically can't make it to games anymore. Still with us, but just can't get to games anymore. So it was memorable in that sense. It was a shootout, back and forth, very high scoring game. Ben Roethlisberger for them, for us, obviously Russ. Real back and forth affair. And it came down to the end, and it was a similar situation to what the Beastquake run ended up being. All the Seahawks needed was a first down to seal the game. And Russ throws a little slant route, little drag route, I think, to Doug, and he takes it the distance like 70 yards to score, to put a real exclamation point on that game. Great player. Another guy that unfortunately the career ended too soon, like the body got broken down. Brian Blades, no surprise there, played 10 years with the Seahawks, 11 years with the Seahawks, 4 1,000-yard seasons, 7,620 career receiving yards, 34 touchdowns on 581 catches. Currently ranks third in major receiving categories behind Largent and Tyler Lockett. Bobby Ingram was the thing about Ingram, and I hope it points it out here. He would prove to be one of Hasselbeck's most trusted targets. He was always a number 2 receiver, possession guy, middle of the field guy, right? But one year, Darrell Jackson got hurt. And yeah, it had to be 2007. And so what does he do? What does he do? Well, now he's the X receiver. Now you're the number 1 receiver in Mike Holmgren's offense. He caught 94 balls for 1,147 yards and 6 touchdowns. Just breaks out and has a huge year. Finished his career with almost 400 catches. Just came up one short at 399 for 4,859 yards and 18 touchdowns. Darrell Jackson, of course, 2006. Gosh, I thought his career was longer than that. Should have had a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It's called back because of offensive pass interference. Don't know about that one. Still 5th in franchise history in receiving yards. Also has 47 receiving touchdowns, which ranks 4th. 441 catches, ranks 6th, even after all this time. Largent, obviously, again, I think we're alphabetical, actually, is the way that they did this. I'm expecting Largent to finish number 1 on the overall list that's released tomorrow. 76-89. Played his whole career in Seattle. Former 4th-round pick that they were able to pry away from the Houston Oilers. Hall of Famer in 1995. Where do I begin? When he retired, he held every NFL receiving record. All of them. Catches, touchdowns, first one to 100 yards, all of them. Longest consecutive game streak. Of course, Jerry Rice came along and obliterated all those, and then some of them have been broken by other people since. But just an unbelievably productive player for someone who was dismissed by his first team as not big enough, not fast enough, not physical enough. Just something to be said about talent, right? He was really talented. Those ankles, like the angle at which he could cut on the old AstroTurf at the Kingdome, he could just change direction instantly. He was a tremendous route runner, probably the best route runner I've ever gotten to witness. Tyler Lockett, 2015 to 2024, he'll play in Tennessee this year. Was hoping he'd retire a Seahawk. 10 seasons. Returned punts and kicks early in his career. Was really good at that. People forget how fast he was. He was a Pro Bowler and an AP first-team All-Pro his rookie year as a returner. But then later in his career, they backed off of those duties just to help. He had some injury issues, and they wanted to keep him healthy. He surpassed 1,000 receiving yards in every season from 2019 to 2022, tying for the most consecutive campaigns with 1,000-plus receiving yards in franchise history. And he's like second or third in just about every major category in Seahawks receiving history. Then DK Metcalf. Kind of a polarizing player. Obviously, he's now a Pittsburgh Steeler, 2019, 2024. First player in franchise history to register 3 consecutive 100-yard games. Multiple memorable highlight plays every season. It was just how he played the game, how physical he was. Came up with some big catches. I remember the touchdown in the back of the end zone at LA a couple of years ago against Jalen Ramsey to win the game on 4th down. He had another one just like that against the Vikings a few years prior. Big catches. Everybody remembers the Drew Lock throw to JSN to win the Eagles game 2 years ago, but it was Metcalf and that juggling catch that was behind him. A couple other catches. He had the catch to get him down there close. People always tried to knock him, like not a great hands catcher, doesn't high point the ball. Contested catches weren't what you wanted, but just from a physical standpoint, like you needed catch in traffic in a big moment, like you could count on him. And he was just a fun player. Really going to miss seeing him out there this year. All right, let's do quarterbacks. I mean, Dan McGuire, Rick Meyer, right? Here we go. Only 3 quarterbacks? No, 4. Okay. All right. I like this list already. Matt Hasselbeck, one of my favorite players of all time. I don't have the physical background behind me now. It's in storage in Seattle at the moment, but his autograph ball from him, one of my prized possessions, 9-time team captain. He was a guy that I always loved listening to him being interviewed. The way he talked about the game was so thoughtful. I knew he would do something with it afterwards. Started 131 of 138 regular season games played, started 11 postseason games. Franchise all-time leader in attempts, completions, yards, career wins, second in touchdowns. And then, Russell Wilson has broken a lot of those. But when he left in 2010, he held all those records. A lot of people, man, just couldn't get on board with Matt Hasselbeck. I've often made the comparison between he and Geno Smith, that he had his detractors. There were some people that just always wanted us to upgrade for Matt Hasselbeck. My father being one of them. We used to always butt heads and have these big arguments over it. He always wanted who the second guy was. He thought Seneca Wallace was a star. He thought Mike Teal was a star because he had a big fourth quarter in a preseason game against the Raiders one year. But whenever I would debate people on it, I would always say the same things that I would say about Geno when he was here. Where do you put him in the league? And people would say he's the 15th best quarterback. He's mid. And they would use that as an insult, right? You go, okay, who are the top 14? And they would name names. Okay, how are you going to get one of those guys? Yeah, he wasn't Brett Favre, but you can't get Brett Favre. He wasn't available. Matt Hasselbeck was a very, very good quarterback for a long time and had to overcome some stuff early in his career. He was brought over here to be the guy by Holmgren, right? Being rescued off that deep Green Bay depth chart where he was like third or fourth most of the time. But he struggled early on, got benched a couple times for Trent Dilfer. And then finally it all clicked. And he was able to put together the career that he did. Took us to our first Super Bowl. Should have won it. Dave Craig, of course. Dave Craig is still let me look this up. Whatever they're going to say. Let me go. Oh, wait. NFL. All-time leading passers. Let's see. Where's Dave Craig still? 27th. Dave Craig is 27th in NFL history in passing yards. Ahead of names like Boomer Esiason, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck's 30th, Alex Smith, Jim Kelly, Jared Goff, Tony Romo, Phil Simms, Steve Young, Aikman, Cam Newton. So Craig obviously still has the third most passing yards, second most TD passes in team history, almost 200 TD passes. Ring of Honor member, 3-time Pro Bowler, led us to the first Pro Bowl. And really the feather in his cap was 1984 or 83 into the 84 playoffs it was 84. Yeah, it was the 84 season. Kurt Warner's second year, he had the great rookie year, first play of the year against Cleveland, non-contact, Kingdom, sweep, play, tears up his ACL. Kurt Warner's down. His first carry of the year. And so ground Chuck Knox, who never saw a running play he didn't like, allowed the Seahawks to become a passing team and allowed the offensive coordinator at the time to open things up and let it rip. And Craig had a huge year. They went 12-4 and led him to their first playoff berth. Huge year for Craig. Russell Wilson, obviously, I mean, holds just about every career passing record for the Seahawks. He was a Pro Bowler in all but one of his 10 seasons. Because when it ended so quickly, and his career now seems to be journeyman, veteran, backup, or bridge quarterback. I'm not sure if he's a Hall of Famer now. Maybe he's one of those guys, but he's not a first ballot guy. But that, the longer he's on the ballot, maybe Veterans Committee at some point, like maybe he gets in just because in his prime, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league for a handful of years, and he did it in such a unique way. He really did open the door to Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, guys like that to be drafted first overall, because all of a sudden teams started to say, maybe we should keep our evaluation to what they're doing on the field and not worry so much about someone being under 6 foot. Hard worker, say what you want about, some of the personality stuff and some of the off the field stuff, but just a great player. And we were lucky to have him. And then Jim Zorn, who was my favorite player growing up till Matt Hasselbeck came along. I told the story on the show the other day about how I chased him down a back hallway at SeaTac after the AFC Championship game in '84 when they lost to the Raiders, because we knew he was not going to be back with the team the next year, and I wanted to thank him and how gracious he was. It was awesome. Zorn was kind of a revolutionary player at the time too. Like, they built a whole offense around him. Jerry Rome, the original offensive coordinator, built that whole sprint draw system where he would start out under center, not a lot of shotgun back then. Sherman Smith would be lined up deep in the backfield, and he would sprint back to him. It was almost like an old Veer offense. So he would almost be halfway into a rollout on every play with kind of a run pass option, like some early RPO stuff. Scrambler, the lefty, the way he did it was kind of unconventional. Didn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he made plays. He made things happen, and he was just fun to watch. I mean, for an expansion team, the only thing worse, what do they say? The only thing worse than being bad is being boring. They were not boring those first couple of years. Threw for over 20,000 yards, 107 passing touchdowns, ran for 17 touchdowns. He was named to the all-rookie team, and he was the offensive rookie of the year that first year. Just one of the iconic, came back to be quarterback's coach years later and had an impact on Matt Hasselbeck's career, was a big influence on him. Became a head coach for a moment in the NFL as well for what was at the time the Redskins. So, yeah, no real shocks there other than no kickers. That's kind of weird. I do find that to be odd. But, kickers have long not gotten the respect that they deserve, right? So tomorrow is the full reveal of the order of the list. I'll touch on that. Probably won't do a full episode on it, or maybe I'll just do a short one because I have a full schedule the next couple of days. Tomorrow, I'm going to be catching up with Max Brown. If you've never seen him on the show, he's phenomenal. Former USC and Pitt quarterback. He was a big-time high school star in the Seattle area. Now he's a great content creator with a huge YouTube channel. He's been on the show a couple times. He's going to come on and talk about quarterbacks. He has some really definitive ideas about how the Seahawks can use Jalen Milroe as a rookie in some package stuff, like as a weapon. And I want to pick his brain about like Daniel Jeremiah said on local sports radio a couple weeks ago, that like we've heard this idea talked about a lot over the years, but no one's ever done it. Like the disconnect between the idea of being upstairs and then having it come downstairs and being on the field. Why Max thinks that doesn't get done. It really hasn't happened since Cordell Stewart, despite it being talked about a lot. But then also he has some unique insight into Sam Darnold. And so I'm going to pick his brain as well about how he thinks Sam's career has progressed and what he thinks his ceiling might be, because they played together at USC. It's one of the reasons Max ended up transferring to Pittsburgh, is Sam took the reins of that job and established himself as the starter there. And so they got to know each other, and that'll be a lot of fun to get his thoughts on Sam. And then going to be catching up with Corbin Smith tomorrow as well. Haven't nailed down a time yet, but I think we're going to try to do that one live so that you guys can get in on asking him some questions. But he was there all 3 of the last 3 days for those open media sessions for OTAs. And so we'll get to hear what he had to say about what he saw on the field. Today, one little tidbit said Nick Emmanwori had his best practice yet. Can't wait to dig into that a little bit. Playing phone tag with Jeff Simmons, trying to catch up with him sometime this weekend as well. Yeah, so that's that. And then more stuff coming next week. Mandatory minicamp, by the way, got moved up. So it's going to be next week. So it starts the 10th, which is Tuesday. Trying to arrange a show for Monday with Brandon Kane of the Hawks Nest to do a preview, some expectations, things we want to see and hear out of mandatory minicamp before they kind of shut things down for about a month before training camp. So just some things to look ahead. And as I start the music here to take us out, a little piece of news to share with those of you who stuck here till the end. By the way, the longer you watch a video also carries a lot of weight in the YouTube algorithm as far as them deciding to push videos out. I heard back from the Seahawks media department today. Julie, who's been so gracious and great at communicating with me, had asked me to check back with her as we got closer to training camp. Being on the East Coast as I am, I wanted to try and get as much advance notice as possible because I'll logistically have to make some things happen, right? And so here's where that sits. She has invited me to come out for the first few practices of training camp. They will credential me for that and give me practice access so I can cover the team those first few days. And then that gives us a chance to all know each other and sit down and talk about my vision and my experience and everything else. And then at that time, they will make a decision on whether to credential me for the season. If that happens, I will move back to Seattle for the season and cover the team full time. So that's pretty exciting, pretty fun. Got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Probably I'm not going to drive from West Virginia to Seattle for potentially just 3 days of practice coverage. Probably have to fly home, rent a car, kind of do that. But we'll figure that out when we get there, right? Just wanted to share that with you, again, as a reward for sticking around till the end. As always, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. And if you want to support me in any way, you can do so at any of the links down below. A bunch of different ways that you can do that. But the most fun way right now is buy some swag. Get yourself a coffee cup. I've got a hat and a polo shirt coming for myself in the next couple of days, so I'll obviously reveal them here. But I think I have a good variety for y'all to look at there. The one thing missing, I want to design. My fiance is going to help me with this. There's a unisex T-shirt on there, a couple different ones, but some ladies apparel. So we'll get that done as well. But yeah, dig in, enjoy. Until next time, which is going to happen quick. We'll see you tomorrow, or depending on when you watch this video, later today. I'm Dan. This is Seahawks Forever, forever and always go Hawks.